Good morning. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Well, we're up. Actually, we had a late lie-in today, and I was amazed at how lazy I felt. And when I got up, it was actually 7 o'clock. Can you imagine that? At one time, 7 o'clock would have been my early rise. My life when I was a musician and in the UK was so greatly different to what I had here. For the best part of 7 years, I was in the Ray McVeigh band, the Ray McVeigh Orchestra and Singers. Let's get this right now. And we toured the US constantly, and I was with that band for 7 years. I was one of the two male lead vocalists, and we went everywhere. Well, what was our day like then? Well, my day in those days was to get up when I could get myself out of bed during the day, usually around maybe 11 or 12, get ready for going on the next gig. We would meet somewhere like Cherry Blossom, which was out on the North Circular, and we'd pick up the coach there, and then we'd sit in and be driven to the next gig. If it was Manchester, we'd pick up probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we would go to the Piccadilly Hotel, and we'd get there in time to go out and have a meal somewhere in case we weren't going to be fed. Go have a meal, and then it would be go and stand at the bar, and I'd watch other guys, for my money, gradually destroy their lives. Well, after the gig, the guys who just wanted to get home would go and probably sit in the coach and go to sleep, and the guys who liked to party would go and have drinks, and then after maybe an hour after everything was fixed up, we'd actually get to leave and come home. And if it was a very, very late gig, we would be coming home in the rush hour, and then pick up again at 4 in the afternoon the same day. That was my day then. A great deal of difference between what my life nowadays. I usually get up, wake up about 5, and we lie in bed and chat about what we're going to be doing. And maybe get up about 6. And then we'd view the day. And out here, we live within easy walking distance of 1, 2, 3, another 3 houses. That of Maricel and Tata, Beth's brother, and his children. Now he's at home right now for maybe a month or 2 months more, and then he's going back to work in Kuwait. And that's a lot of Filipino families. The husband, and these are regarded as being the lucky ones. They have to work away in order to support their families. It's a tough life, I think, for them. And then we got Manang Lena, and she has a tiny little house which we're hoping to improve in the next project. She has this tiny little house which is about, believe it or not, about 10 feet by 10 feet, and that includes a tiny little kitchen. And we have done a video on that. Wonderful lady. And she lives there with Talik, who I think of as my daughter. Well, then let me see, the only other house is Manang Rado's, and he lives down the hill and up the hill and across the rice field, and he is a frequent, almost everyday visitor to our house. Not to our house, Nanai's house is the hub of all activity here. We don't have a kitchen, so everything that we do by going down to Nanai's house. I mean, she cooks on an open fire down there in pretty well the same way that she has been cooking for all of her married life, 52 years. And she's brought up 10 children. Beth is one of 10 children. So what else do we have going? Well, the bane of my life, we have the chickens, who I would slaughter without any regrets or guilt, because they get everywhere. I just found that two marauding rebel chickens have gotten their way into our guest house, and when I was tidying up out there after the mess that they laid, I found an egg, and we found that this same rebel couple have gotten into our house, and they know how to get in. There's plenty of places that they can get into our house. It's only made to keep out the rain. It's not a totally sealed unit like you would have in the UK or the US. So they've been getting in and laying eggs in the laundry basket. For heaven's sake. So I'm going to put my foot down actually and ask Beth what she wants to do about the chickens. so life in paradise. Okay. Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk about actually seriously was that one guy with one of those hard to remember usernames, because it's just letters and numbers, he said, in your heart of hearts, now that you're going to have a child, don't you really feel that that child would have a better chance in the UK? A better chance at what? A better chance at a better life? This is a difficult question for me to answer, because I know that the answer will be almost incomprehensible to most people living in civilized, well-structured, regulated environments. Now, when I went to, fairly recently, just over a year ago, I went on a visit to see my son Theo and his fiancée Maria, and they made me royally welcome, had a wonderful, wonderful time, was spoilt to death by everybody, by Maria's family, had a great time. But I saw how highly regulated city life has become. Maybe it has to be that way because so many people living together in so many, in just a few, in really what amounts to a few acres. It has to be regulated so that everybody's not killing everybody. But it's almost, it seemed to me, compared to the way that we live, it's almost a cashless society there. Everything that Theo and Maria did was pretty well done on a card. Now, this is kind of incomprehensible to me. I have an ATM card, and everything hinges on the ATM card because we go and we get the money from my pensions on an ATM. Well, we have two ATM cards because we've got one for our Filipino bank, which is where my UK pension goes. The US still goes to a US bank. Right, so everything else, and I kept the US bank account open because of our, I sell my books that I've written on Amazon, and everything is hooked into that, PayPal on Amazon, and people can pay, and they can pay through PayPal, and they can buy my books and so on. So that's all left there, plus my pension goes into that. So I have an ATM card for that, and we use that once every so often, as little as possible, obviously, because we live a very simple life. Now, that simple life, compared to the way that I was living in the US and here, that simple life is a glorious life, because we get up in the morning and the biggest challenge that I have is that a damn chicken has laid an egg in my laundry basket. Now here's my wife. Are you wet, darling?
Yeah, because I'm not finished the laundry.
You're not finished. Honey, can we have a talk about the chickens?
Oh, the chickens are still good?
No, the chickens are not still good. Can you come here and talk to me about the chickens? Oh, honey. At your ugliest, you are beautiful, and you're never ugly.
Later, I'll just finish the laundry and wet.
I'm going to show you. She's going to run away now. Now, honey, can we talk about the chickens?
Come on.
Well,
Come on.
I want to talk about the chickens.
The chickens are part of the life here.
Right, and they can be kept.
Remember when you first came here, there's no chicken at all.
That's right, and, and life was good because we didn't.
I said to Nana, it's so something's missing. You cannot see anyone walking around in the yard. So I get the chicken, and now from one, I think we're now in native chicken. It's around, I think, 50 now.
50 chickens.
Yeah.
Well, can you just have a talk with the 2 or 3 that keep getting into the house and crapping and laying eggs in the house?
We got 3 eggs in our bedroom.
You found 3 eggs now?
Yeah, I put it again there.
When?
The other day.
The other day. And I just found one in the guest house.
Yeah.
And I thought that I knew where they were getting in, but I just heard a noise while I was doing a video.
Yeah.
And I went out, and the damn chicken is getting in through the roof. You can't keep them out.
Yeah, that's part.
Now, the other thing that you could do would be to clip their wings.
They're chicken without wings now. It's not good idea.
No, not chickens without wings.
They should have wings because it's like, on the wings of love.
Oh God. Okay, you win.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Well, that conversation didn't go very far, did it? I lost out with the chickens. I am going to learn how to clip their wings, and they're not going to be getting more than 2 feet off the ground when I finish this. That's a promise. I just saw one fly past the house. The chickens are not supposed to fly, honey. She's still out there.
They're supposed
Sweetheart,
to fly.
no, they're not supposed to fly around the house, and they're not supposed to get into our bedroom.
They go to our bedroom because they're part of the family.
Honey, don't think that I'm being unromantic here, but had you told me that we were going to share our bedroom with chickens, I probably would have run away. Okay, well, anyway, as I was explaining about what an idyllic life we have here, so the man who says, wouldn't our children have a better life? What you have to understand is that if you follow our videos, you are seeing that we're dealing a lot with helping people. Well, look at it. It's not difficult, is it? There are several. Every time that we go out, we see many fabulously wealthy houses. Maybe I should do a video on the fabulously wealthy houses. There are incredibly successful, incredibly obscenely wealthy people in the Philippines. Now, these are not, they're not royalty, they're not crooked politicians, they're, to a large degree, they're hard-working business people who have gone out, and a lot of them, I think, one of the friends that we have that is a successful businessman, I think that he spent many years as a seaman sending all his money home, and his wife saved it, they invested, and now they have a very successful business, $2 million American truck or whatever it is that they drive, and they live in the lap of luxury. They still work very hard. Now, these are probably special people with an especially high motivational energy. So it's not everybody that's going to do that, but people are different. Some people are born into poverty, yes, and they're going to stay that way, because it's a mindset, and they don't get the education, so therefore they don't change things, and it's very difficult for them to get an education for their children that will take them higher. So a lot of their children leave home, and then that's where you get this special... Yes, dear.
I got melon.
Did you leave any for me, honey?
Yeah, they're still there.
There's still some there. So they get educated and they leave home, and then they send money home, and change comes very slow. But I'm here not because it's not just a matter of money, that I'm here because I can't live on my pension. And I could live very well actually on my pension in the UK, because it's one of those societies where they will support their old people. In America, they're not so good at that. You know, the wealthy put their elderly into a hotel, not a hotel, into a care facility. In my own case, at my age, I'd probably be kept in somebody's attic. I don't know, it wouldn't be a good life. And I'm here not just because of the money, I'm here because I have a great life. And when we have a child, whichever way that takes place, that child, by virtue of the education that we will make sure that he or she has, and that won't just be what the government or what the educational system gives them, but in the mindset and the psychology that we will help her or him to what shall I say, to live. And that will be a heck of a lot better than anything that they would have in the UK. But here's the final talk on this. It's the final word. My children will come up in the same way that I already have children, and all of them are successful, free-thinking people. Children don't stay children. They become people. They are people. And they're already... Did you know that at one time, 8 years old was supposedly the point at which people would make life-forming decisions? You know, that on a simplistic way, they would decide whether they were going to become a fireman or a brain surgeon. Well, now the truth of the matter is that it's probably by the age of 2 that people have made some pretty important decisions about how their life is going to be for them. So the way that I bring up my children is a lot different to the way that other people do. I think that my son Luke, who is he is in California right now in the US, and he didn't get a college education. He has whatever college education he's had, he got by himself. I didn't have the money to give him a college education, and he certainly had more brains and more sense than to take on a $130,000 loan in order to get a mediocre education. Gosh, I can hear people horrified at the idea that I would suggest that a $130,000 education in the US is a wonderful thing. I don't have the absolute figures, but the US actually comes pretty low. It scores fairly low in the quality of education. So that said, and I'm sure that lots of people will disagree, and welcome their disagreement. Keep it clean, keep it nice, okay? Right, so the good life is not just to be found in the US or the UK or any of these advanced first world countries. It's not to be automatically found there. The good life can be very different to what people in all of these advanced first world countries think. Lots of people that write to me, they write to me on the basis that it's not that they can't live on the money that they have. They long for a different kind of life. They long for a simpler life. They long for when they didn't have to be concerned all the time about keeping their license up to date, registering their car, paying for their phone, insurance, rent, water, power, car insurance, gas. One guy said, I just like to live. I like to live in the Philippines because when I was living in the US, they just made me feel like a criminal if I didn't keep up on everything. A lot of people don't realize just how insidious the credit system is, the credit reporting system. Credit reporting system is quite an evil thing in my mind, because it takes away the power of judgment from the people, the institutions that would judge on whether someone could raise a loan to pay for a house or pay for a car or do whatever it was that they wanted to do. Now, what happens now is that all of these systems are linked. Better believe it. They are all linked. And if you get behind on one bill, then that can affect what the interest rate is that you are charged. So miss a payment on the power and start going behind on that and having to negotiate with them, that will increase your other bills that are on credit. And let's face it, if you're paying insurance, not too many people pay their insurance on their car in one lump up front. They pay it every month. So all of those other bills are going to be tacked on, and the fees thing is probably organized crime in my estimation. We talked about this before, about how if you get behind, if you have a credit limit of $5,000 and you are having a difficult time meeting ends and making ends meet, then you're going to be right up there just under $5,000, which you're just busy maintaining, which is also another craziness, believe me. So you're going to be trying to meet that. Now, if you are late on a payment and you're right up there underneath, then you're in a lot of trouble, because the fees will start to add up. Okay, well, I can hear that another chicken has got in the house, and boy, I think I'll go and secretly kill that chicken. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Thanks for looking in.